Hello, welcome to the next chapter of Photoshop video series. In this video, we will look into Type tool. Now, Photoshop is not as powerful as Adobe InDesign, a desktop publishing program where you can create complex designs for brochures, books, magazines, etc. But Photoshop still has huge potential to be creative with typefaces. You can use Photoshop to create somewhat less complex but very creative designs for t-shirts, flyers, posters, 3D compositions, and websites. Now with Type tool, we'll first learn how this tool works and then we'll work on some examples. Like the previous videos, I would like you to download the PSD file from the description below so you can follow along with the video and have a better understanding. Now in addition to the PSD, I have also provided you a zip file containing some fonts. Unzip the file and select all the contents inside the zip folder except the txt file. Then right click on them and click install. All the fonts will get installed in your system and you can use them everywhere. Photoshop, MS Word, Excel, etc. Also, this video is going to be long and in detail, so feel free to rewind and watch a particular topic if you feel so. To work with Type tool, we will need to refer to Character panel and Paragraph panel. Now, if you don't see these panels in your right hand side of the interface, then go to Main Window menu, then find a Character or Paragraph. And in order for you to see better what we will be doing with these panels, I have removed all the other unnecessary panels from the panels column. These are two panels that we are going to use to modify type. If you still haven't figured out why I keep saying type, then type is what we refer to texts in design world. So whenever I say type, it might mean something else which also depends on the context, but most of the time it will mean that I am talking about text in a design. Now you can guess by the name of these panels that Character panel is used to modify your text, fonts, size, spacing, etc. And the Paragraph panel is used to modify the paragraph, of course, but more specifically the indentation, alignment, etc. Now if you look closely at the layers panel, you will notice that all the type paragraphs or elements are in their own separate layers. And you might also notice that these are type layers. When you work with raster images, you can see a thumbnail similar to the image in the layers panel. And when you work with type, you can see a type icon or T. This symbol is helpful in easily recognizing what type of layer we are dealing with. As you go on to build complex designs with multiple layers in future, these icons will be very helpful in recognizing the contents of your document at a glance. Moving on, let's select the Type tool. Type tool is available towards the bottom half of the toolbar and is represented by a T icon. You can also use the hotkey T to quickly activate the Type tool. Once active, the mouse cursor changes to the classic text mode cursor with a dotted box around it. Now things have been different with Photoshop 2017 onwards, but for those with older versions, whenever you wish to edit a layer, you first needed to select it. But this is not the case with Type tool. You can do it directly like in 2017 version of Photoshop. You see how the mouse pointer looks when I am not around any type layer? Now look closely when I move over a type layer. You can see that the box around the pointer disappears. This is because Photoshop recognizes that the mouse pointer is over a type layer and changes its icon, representing that upon click, the layer will enter edit mode. Click on it and you will see that the particular type layer has entered into a classic text editing mode. You can edit it like any text in a word processing program. You can also format the content by selecting the entire text or by selecting that particular type layer from the layers panel. Selecting a text will format that selected part of the text only, whereas selecting from the layers panel will affect the entire type element of that layer. Now look at the control panel. There are options in the control panel also to edit the character or paragraph, but not as many as there are in the panels. This is for you to quickly edit the font, alignment and few other elements quickly if you desire so. Now be careful here and remember that when you enter edit mode in a type layer, you won't be able to use many of the keyboard shortcuts. If you press anything that doesn't include control key, they will be typed into the type element. So in order to deselect or get out of the edit mode, you can either activate a tool from the toolbar with the mouse pointer or you can press Ctrl Enter. Using this will take you out of the edit mode of the type layer. And this way you will still have the type tool active to be able to either create a new type layer or to get into the edit mode of any type layer you desire. So moving forward, let's click on this block of the type. This time it is different. This time we see a bounding box around the type. This box represents the area on which the type elements are located. We also have 8 tiny squares along the edge of the bounding box. And of course, these boxes are here so you can resize the bounding box on which they are located. Upon clicking and dragging one of the tiny squares, you can see that we are resizing the bounding box. And with that, the inside type is also reformatting automatically to adjust to the new size of the box. Now click and drag again to increase the size of the box, and the type will reformat to adjust to the new increased size of the box as well. So in Photoshop, you can have boundless type objects like we have seen before this, or a bounded type object like this one. Now to deselect, I'll press Ctrl Enter. Moving ahead, let's look at the type at the bottom of the canvas. Here, you can see that we have type elements arranged vertically. In Photoshop, we can easily create such vertical arrangements of characters, which we'll learn ahead in this video. By clicking on the object, you can enter the edit mode. You can select and deselect the text like we did with the type object above. On the right hand side also, you can enter edit mode. Select type, resize the bounding box as we did with the horizontal type object. There is one new thing though. The mouse cursor becomes horizontal when you mouse over these vertical type elements. Now enough with the examples of type, and let's create some of our own type objects. But you need to browse to the next video for this. See you there.